Today, we become legends.
Today's Titan Talk had some hotfix nerfs, discussions about shutting down Smite 1 servers, seasonal maps, and a whole lot more. So without further ado, let's jump into today's recap. First up, some hotfixes that have gone out since the last show. Cerberus and Stygian Anchor have been fixed and are now re-enabled. He was creating an infinite healing loop with the item, which is pretty funny, but probably not something you want to play against. Assault respawn timers were longer than intended after the changes in this patch, so those have been adjusted to be a bit shorter. Aladdin's shield health has gone from scaling with 35% of his max health to 10% of his max health plus 10% of the target's current health. So overall, the shield should be a lot lower from Aladdin's ultimate. They fixed the Stygian Anchor slow being uncleansable, and Kilgoon also mentioned some nerfs coming to the item soon as well. I don't think these are live just yet, but they should be going out soon. They're removing the basic attack power, but increasing the protections of both kinds by 5 and changing the way the stacks work. Currently, they last 5 seconds and fall off all at once. They will now last 1.25 seconds, but fall off one at a time. And finally, it will no longer reduce enemy healing, but you will still get the healing if they heal near you. Nua's minions will now move a bit faster for Smite 1 parity, as they were a bit too slow in Smite 2. Console has had a tick rate adjustment to the minimap. It wasn't updating every frame after the most recent patch, but now it is. Hindu also mentioned Medusa's 1 tick damage proccing kin size will be fixed soon, if not already. That's it for hotfixes, but they also mentioned that there probably won't be any shows on Wednesday or Friday next week due to Thanksgiving, and for that reason they will probably show off the next update this coming Friday with RTO and the rest of the stuff in OB24. And there will be PTS testing the update over the weekend. Kilgoon did say it will be a bit of a smaller patch though due to the upcoming Christmas break and Thanksgiving happening around this time. Someone asked for their thoughts on Agility Relic in Ranked, and Kilgoon said it's probably too early to tell really, as they don't have a lot of good data on it yet. It usually takes a couple of days for things to settle in where it will actually end up. In the first few days everyone's kind of trying it out and doesn't know if it's good yet and stuff like that, so they'll probably have a better stance on it a few days from now. Someone asked for the chance of Nut in the OB24 PTS, and Kilgoon said probably not, as she's pretty early right now and they will be PTSing this update a little bit earlier than normal, and with Thanksgiving coming up and all that, there's less time to get her ready. Someone asked if there's some sort of milestone the game has to hit for Ranked Joust to be added, and Kilgoon said not really a milestone specifically, it's just that it was a very unpopular queue in Smite 1 despite what some of the vocal minority would say, and they don't feel like splitting the Joust player base further right now is the best way to go. It is something they might revisit down the line though. Someone asked if they could get an out of match chat option to message friends for a game and stuff like that, and Killigan said it's actually quite a hard thing to implement it with the way Smite 2 is currently set up, and how it uses the Rally Here 2.0 backend, which doesn't support an entire chat server in the same way that Smite 1 did, which used Rally Here 1.0. So it would have to all be built out from scratch or outsourced to some kind of pre-made system, and they generally haven't found a good way to do that in a cost-effective manner that also includes stuff like chat logs for combating toxicity. So generally, the benefits of bringing in out-of-match chat probably wouldn't justify the cost of it for them right now. Someone asked if they could bring the Conquest lighting updates to other modes, and Kilgoon said long term they do want to do that for sure, as it just makes the game look a lot better in general with what they've been doing, but they want to get it finalized in Conquest before they start bringing it to other modes. Someone asked when the Smite 1 servers will turn off, as there was a semi-viral tweet by Smite standards saying that the servers will turn off soon, and Kilgoon said that tweet was completely untrue and he has no indication that they're going to be turning the servers off anytime soon for Smite 1. They would have to provide substantial notice legally as well before shutting off the servers anyway, and there aren't any current plans to shut them down, as they still feel there's some value in having Smite 1 available for last-gen consoles and specific gods and features that aren't in Smite 2. Someone asked if we could have god-specific achievements in Smite 2 like we had in Smite 1, and Kilgoon said there are some problems with doing that because of the limitations on achievements from platforms. For example, if they ever rework a god, they can't change the achievements that no longer make sense after the rework, and if they want to change anything related to achievements, it has to go through a long approval process that is entirely at the whim of the platform, and it can slow down how quickly they patch as well because of the longer approval process for patches with achievements in them. So it's just a big headache overall that they felt like wasn't worth going down for Smite 2, even though the achievements are a lot of fun. Someone asked about advertising and if they've been doing anything more with it recently, and Kilgoon said they are still advertising on various platforms like Snapchat, Reddit, Google, and others, but this time of year it is more expensive to run ads, so they've not been doing quite as much of it recently. With the ads being more expensive and this being the time of year when a lot lot of big popular games are being released, the ads just generally wouldn't be as cost effective as they were earlier in the year. There was a question on Travelers and if it's intended that Travelers are diamond only, and Kilgun said kind of yes, because most Travelers have prisms and prisms are diamond only content. The reason brand new skins are half legacy gems is because the skin itself is factored into that, so you're essentially spending your legacy gems for the skin portion of the Traveler. Whereas a classic Traveler, the skin is essentially free and you're just paying for the prisms, so it's diamond only pricing for those. Someone asked about seasonal maps like the winter one from late Smite 1, and Kilgun said they would like to get back to doing that at some point, but right now they feel like they're better focusing on the core look and feel of the map first, and once that's in a good spot, they can start thinking about extra stuff like seasonal maps. I missed the actual question that led to this because I was ordering pizza at the time, but Kilgun did mention that they've had a couple of new hires recently in the FX department, as that was a bit of a bottleneck for them in terms of creating things, which sounds good. You do somewhat notice that bottleneck in game, I think, with a lot of stuff lacking proper FX when it comes to the game. Someone asked if a god like Kratos being in the game would be difficult due to licensing, and Kilgun said it depends if they're doing their own take on the mythological character or if they're doing the actual God of War Kratos, which would obviously require licensing. There was a question about if a god drops off in pick rate in Smite 1 when they come over to Smite 2, and Kilgun said they used to look at that a bit more back in the early days of Smite 2, but not so much anymore, as they don't really have a lot of the data infrastructure for Smite 1 in place anymore. And finally, someone asked if they could do a community vote for a Saga skin, and Kilgun said probably not due to the long lead time on creating something like that, with between 4 and 6 months of work for the skin to be ready, so the hype will die down a lot. Also, some of the people who vote for the losing option will not buy the Saga out of protest when they might have bought it anyway if there wasn't a vote, so stuff like that can impact things as well. But that's everything discussed on today's show. Don't forget to drop a like before you leave and subscribe so you don't miss my future recaps, and I'll catch you guys for another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.